So once again, I welcome you all back to the discussion of complex variables, class number 9. So in the last class, we had started the discussion on conformal transformations, and two transformations we have discussed there. So in this class, we are going to discuss, we are actually continuing the discussion of conformal transformations. Then at the end, I will define what do you mean by a bilinear transformation. And then next class we shall discuss problems on bilinear transformations. Now problem C, discuss the transformation W equal to Z plus 1 by Z. Solution given. So here the given transformation is W equal to Z plus 1 by Z with Z not equal to 0. Now I will take Z equal to R into e power I theta. Then W will be, or that we can write as U plus IV, right? U plus IV equal to R e power I theta plus 1 by R into e power, okay, in the denominator we should write e power I theta, 1 by R e power I theta. Okay, this will be R e power I theta plus 1 by R into e power minus I theta. So that this can be written as U plus IV equal to R into e power I theta can be written as cos theta plus I sin theta, cos theta plus I sin theta plus 1 by R into cos theta minus I sin theta. So we will be having real and imaginary part separating. Okay, I will write one more term, U plus IV equal to R plus 1 by R cos theta. I am collecting the real parts of the right hand term, I into R minus 1 by R into sin theta. Okay, now from this we will be having U equal to, so that implies U equal to R plus 1 by R cos theta, and V will be equal to R minus 1 by R times sin theta. We can call this as equation star. Now from star we will be having, so first we will write expression for trigonometric functions. U divided by R plus 1 by R will be cos theta, and V divided by R minus 1 by R will be sin theta. Now squaring and adding both sides of both equations, we will be getting U square divided by R plus 1 by R whole square plus V square divided by R minus 1 by R whole square will be equal to cos square theta plus sin square theta, that is 1. So it will be equation 1. Now again from star we are having U by cos theta equal to R plus 1 by R, and similarly V by sin theta equal to R minus 1 by R. Now squaring and subtracting second equation from the first one, we will be getting U square divided by cos square theta minus V square divided by sin square theta equal to R plus 1 by R whole square, minus R minus 1 by R whole square. You can simplify this and you can check that it will be equal to 4. Thus we are having U square by 2 cos theta whole square minus V square by 2 sin theta whole square equal to 1. It will be equation 2. See, when the second case, imaginary part of Z is constant, you can consider equation 2 because it involves only theta, and when you consider the case real part of Z is constant, that is R is constant, then you can consider equation 1. Now before considering the cases, we have Z equal to R into e power I theta, where here actually R denotes modulus of Z, that is R equal to modulus of Z equal to square root of x square plus y square, and theta will be amplitude of Z, and it will be actually tan inverse of y by x. It will be tan inverse of y by x. Now case 1, suppose real part of z is constant, real part of z, that is r is constant, or a constant. Then as I said, okay, before that we need to first identify what geometrical shape we are going to get in z plane. Yes, then r equal to square root of x square plus y square, r equal to square root of x square plus y square. Here r is a constant, right? So squaring on both sides, it will be x square plus y square equal to r square. So that represents circle, that represents circle centered at 0, 0 and radius r. Now as I said, we have to use equation 1. From equation 1, see, equation 2 is not useful as it does not involve r. So by equation 1 we have u square by r plus 1 by r whole square plus v square divided by r minus 1 by r whole square equal to 1. Now r and 1 by r are constants. These two parameters are constants, implies a equal to, see, sum of two constants and difference of two constants are again constants, or constants. So we have u square by a square plus v square by b square equal to 1, which represents an ellipse, having foci at plus or minus square root of a square minus b square comma 0. You can check that we have already computed this one. R plus 1 by r whole square minus of r minus 1 by r whole square will be 4. So that is plus or minus square root of 4 is 2, right? Plus or minus 2 comma 0. So this is first case. Case 2. Suppose imaginary part of z is constant. Imaginary part of z is constant. That is theta will be constant. So theta is constant means we have theta equal to tan inverse of y by x, which implies tan theta equal to y by x. That is y equal to tan theta. See, anyway it is a constant, right? You can take this as em. So y equal to mx. So it represents straight line. Through 0, 0. Straight line through origin. So in the z plane we got a straight line that passes through origin. Now let us look into the w plane. Now if you look into this, see, yes, we need to use equation 2 that says u square by 2 cos theta whole square minus v square by 2 sin theta whole square equal to 1. From equation 2 we have u square by 2 cos theta whole square minus v square by 2 sin theta whole square equal to 1. Now theta is constant, that implies 2 cos theta and 2 sin theta. These two parameters are constants. So we can take this as capital A and this as capital B. So it will be u square by a square minus v square by b square equal to 1 represents an hyperbola, represents an hyperbola having foci at plus or minus square root of a square plus b square comma 0. But this will be plus or minus square root of a square plus b square. Again, square root is not necessary. Plus or minus a square plus b square, that is 2 cos theta whole square plus 2 sin theta whole square, that is 2 square plus 2 square. You get 4. You get 2 square times of cos square theta plus sin square theta, that is 1. So taking square root, you get 2 only, 0. So thus we have the situation like this. We'll be having z plane here. Sorry, it will be written here, and corresponding to that we'll be having w plane here. Okay. Now when real part of z is constant, you got a circle. When imaginary part of z is constant, you got a straight line. So this is corresponding to r constant, and this is corresponding to theta constant. So y-axis, and it is a y-axis, and it is x-axis, and this is the point 0, 0, and this is mod z. And now the geometrical shape corresponding to r constant will be mapped onto an ellipse, and geometrical shape corresponding to theta constant will be mapped onto an hyperbola. Okay, see, both hyperbola and ellipse have same foci here and here. This will be actually plus 2 comma 0, and this will be minus 2 comma 0. Okay, now let us draw the image of this circle. That will be actually an hyperbola. Okay, sorry, it is an ellipse. It will be an ellipse, and corresponding to this straight line for theta constant, we will be having hyperbola. Yes. So these are the maps that are images of the different shapes in z plane under the given transformation. This is z plane and this is the w plane. So finally the conclusion is the given transformation maps a circle to an hyperbola. Okay, circle is to an ellipse, and a straight line to an hyperbola. So this is the conclusion. With this, the discussion on conformal transformations is over. So next we'll introduce these bilinear transformations. So just look into the definition of bilinear transformations. We have already discussed linear transformation. So linear transformation. What do you mean by linear transformation? See, if you consider any map of this form ax plus b, that means the independent variable should be of degree 1. So these transformations are called linear. Here okay, f of y, f of x anta tagoboudalla. So this is a linear transformation, that is independent variable should occur in single degree. Now we will consider a mapping which is linear in two variables. So bilinear transformation means it is a linear transformation in two variables. So a transformation of the form w equal to az plus b divided by Cz plus D, where a d minus bc is not equal to 0 is called a bilinear transformation, or Mobius transformation. That is the one different name for this, Mobius transformation. As I said, this is called bilinear transformation because it will be linear in both the variables w and z. It is linear in w and also it is linear in z. Note, if you take this as, if f of z is taken as az plus b divided by cz plus d, then for any point z0, the derivative of that will be, that means f dash of z will be actually ad minus bc divided by cz plus d whole square. So with the simplifications you get this one. Now since we choose a, b, c, d constants such that ad minus bc not equal to 0, definitely this will be non-zero for any z. This will be non-zero for any z. See here, a and b are constants, where a, b, c, d are constants. So for any z, we have the value of f dash of z to be non-zero. That means what? The transformation, that means the bilinear transformation, is a conformal transformation. Bilinear transformation is conformal. So last video specify ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ, conformal transformation ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಡೆರಿವೇಟಿವ್ ನಾನ್ ಝೀರೋ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನ್ ಝೀರೋ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ conformal transformation. Next we'll define one more parameter. Note, so remark ಅಂತ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. Next remark number one, the cross ratio of four set of points, the cross ratio of 4 points z1, z2, z3 and z4 is given by see it is actually, okay, I should write this, is denoted by this symbol z1 comma z2 comma z3 comma z4, and is given by z1 comma, okay, and is given by z1 comma z2 comma z3 comma z4 equal to z1 minus z2 into z3 minus z4 divided by z2 minus z3 into z1 minus, okay, z4 minus z1. So this value is called the cross ratio of z1, z2, z3 and z4. This is first point, first remark we must have. Second one is invariant points. What do you mean by invariant point? A point z equal to f of z, is said to be an invariant point. There is one more name, invariant point or fixed point. That means, see, if you have your z plane and your w plane, here we will be having complex numbers z1, z2, zn. Here also we will be having many complex numbers, and definitely z exists here also, because both are complex plane, right? If Z is mapped to Z itself, then such point is called invariant point or fixed point. So either you can use this condition or you can say that Z equal to W. So any point corresponding to Z equal to f of Z is called an invariant point or fixed point. That is point number 2. Next, point number 3. The cross ratio of set of 4 points is preserved under bilinear transformation. Let you have the bilinear transformation W equal to AZ plus P divided by CZ plus D. Okay. Now Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4. This is Z plane. Here we will be having 4 points. Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4. And here we will be having corresponding to that their images W1, W1, and somewhere you will be having W2, W3, W4. See, F is a mapping from Z plane to W plane given by this rule, f of Z equal to AZ plus B divided by CZ plus D. Then Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4 are mapped onto W1, W2, W3, W4 under this bilinear transformation. Then, if that is the case, then what this point is going to say is, then the cross ratio of Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4 and the cross ratio of W1, W2, W3, W4, it will be preserved, and that means it will not change under the bilinear transformation. This is the next important point we need to keep in our mind. So a bilinear transformation keeps the cross ratio unaltered, or the cross ratio is preserved under bilinear transformations. So 4 important points you have to remember is, any bilinear transformation, BT and everything, any bilinear transformation maps circles or straight lines, circles or straight lines actually, to circles and circles or straight lines again. Straight lines again. So the meaning of this is, if you have a circle here in Z plane, that will be mapped down to either a circle or a straight line in W plane. Again, if you have a straight line, it will be mapped to either a circle or a straight line in W plane. So any circle or straight line in Z plane will be mapped onto either a circle or a straight line in W plane. So circle ಗೆ ಮ್ಯಾಪ್ ಆಗಬಹುದು ಅಥವಾ ಸರ್ಕಲ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಟ್ ಲೈನ್ ಮ್ಯಾಪ್ ಆಗಬಹುದು. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಟ್ ಲೈನ್ ಸರ್ಕಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾಪ್ ಆಗಬಹುದು ಅಥವಾ ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಟ್ ಲೈನ್ ಗೆ ಮ್ಯಾಪ್ ಆಗಬಹುದು. So apart from this two, it will not be mapped to any other geometrical shape. Fifth important point. This is actually the most important point, because the problems that we are going to discuss will be based on this point. So observe this point carefully. There exists a bilinear transformation. There exists a bilinear transformation that maps given distinct points Z1, Z2, Z3 to W1, W2, W3, because all the problems are based on this remark, so it is very much important. What this remark says is, suppose if you choose 3 distinct points in Z plane and 3 distinct points in W plane. Choose 3 distinct points in Z plane and 3 distinct points in W plane. then you can always find a transformation from z plane to w plane. You can always find a transformation f of z from z plane to w plane such that under this transformation z1 will be mapped onto w1, z2 will be mapped onto w2, and z3 will be mapped onto w3. Such a transformation exists always. So munchela functions kotre adrದು points ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. So here the opposite way. Points will be given. You need to find the function which carries that corresponding points in w plane and in z plane into the points in w plane. So this is the next important point. So finally at the end of this class I will explain you the procedure to solve problems on bilinear transformations. So next class we shall consider problems on bilinear transformations. So procedure I will explain here. Procedure. First point number 1, Z1, Z2, Z3, W1, W2, W3 will be given in the problem statement. W3 will be given. So I have to just name that points. Will be given. You have to consider these points. That is the first point. Will be given in the statement. So consider those points. So consider Z1, Z2, Z3, W1, W2, W3. That will be the first step. Second step, use the formula W equal to AZ plus B divided by CZ plus D. Then substitute above values. Accordingly. You have to substitute above values accordingly. So Z1 is W1, Z2, W2. Z3, W3. Pairwise ante helana. Okay. Substitute above values pairwise. Okay. So that is second point. So third point, we get a system of equations. Solve that equations. To get A, B, C, D. Actually A, B, C in terms of D. It is not necessary to have that in terms of D. You can write in terms of any one parameter. The thing is, you have to get three other constants in terms of one constant. Usually we use rule of cross multiplication to determine these constants. That I will explain while solving problems. As I said, we have to write A, B, C in terms of D, or B, C, D in terms of A, or you can write A, B, D in terms of C. The thing is, you have to write 3 points in terms of the fourth point, and then substitute these values. Substitute these values in equation 1. Substitute these values in equation 1 and simplify. That will give you the required in bilinear transformation. To get a required bilinear transformation. Fifth point, this is for your sake, and the solution of the problem ends at the fourth step only. Fifth point, for verification, substitute the value of z. And check whether you get same W. So anyway you will get the transformation in this form, right? W equal to, you will get transformation in this form, W equal to AZ plus B divided by CZ plus D. For Z, substitute Z1 and simplify this. You get some value. That value, check whether it is equal to W1. And similarly substitute Z2, whether you get W2, you have to check. And Z3, then check whether you got W3. So if you get W1, W2, W3 corresponding to Z1, Z2, Z3, then that verifies the transformation. So the transformation is exactly right. So if you fail to get at least one point W corresponding to Z, then that transformation is not correct. That is not the proper one. So you have to go through first 4 steps once again to correct that mistake that may have happened somewhere. So with this we have introduced the bilinear transformation, and the discussion on conformal transformation is over. So next class we shall solve problems on bilinear transformations, and then with that we will be winding up the discussion on complex variables under unit 3. So thank you all for the discussion.